Hi, today I'll be working on the May 2024 Paper 2 Variant 2 Math paper. Before we start, I hope you can subscribe to my channel. Question 1. The temperature at midnight is negative 4 degrees and the temperature at noon is 25 degrees. Work out the difference between these two temperatures. So for difference, that's equal to the subtraction of two numbers. So in this case, you're subtracting 25 minus 4. There's two minuses, not one, because this minus is as a result of difference. Since you're subtracting these two numbers, and this negative is because this number is a negative 4 degrees and not positive 4 degrees. Now since you have two negatives, when combined they produce a positive. So 25 minus 4 is 25 plus 4, which is equal to 29 degrees. And that's your question 1 answer. Question 2. A gardener charges $6.55 for each hour he works, plus a fixed charge of $15.50. Calculate the total amount he charges when he works for 4 hours. So the total amount is equal to the fixed amount he earns, i.e. the fixed charge, plus the variable amount, i.e. the amount he charges per hour times the number of hours he works. So in this case, that's equal to 1550 plus 655 times 4. Since he has two components of his salary, where one is through this fixed charge of 1550 that he always earns regardless of how many hours he works, and the variable amount, which is equal to the amount he charges per hour times the number of hours. Because if he earns $6.55 for each for 4 hours, that means that the amount that he earns for 4 hours from this per hour charge is equal to 655 times 4. Now this total is equal to $41.70. Question 3. A delivery driver records the number of pizzas she delivers each month for 1 year. Question A asks to complete the stem and leaf diagram. So for this, you have to write down every number in this list in ascending order, i.e. from smallest to largest. So 22, 28, 36, 39, 41, 44, 48, 49, 52, 54, 57, and 57. Now with part A done, part B is checking the first digit of each of these numbers. Now there can be 4 possible first digits. It can be 2, 3, 4, or 5. And this corresponds to these 4 numbers here. So in this row, all the numbers will go that have 2 as the first digit. In this row it will have 3 as the first digit. This row will have 4, and this row will have 5. So that clarification done, we now check the right hand digit of each of these numbers. So this, for the first two numbers 22 and 28, the right hand numbers are 2 and 8. So these go in the row here. Since as you can see in this key, the right hand side, i.e. this entire side, when added to the left hand side, not through addition but by combining the two numbers, so in this case we can say 2, or in this case 4, when you combine these two to make one big number, that's equal to the representation of what the value is itself. So in this case, if 2 is on the left hand side and 2 is on the right hand side, this means 22. And if 2 is on the left hand side and 8 is on the right hand side, this represents 28. So if we repeat this for all the next numbers, 36, 39, 41, 44, 48, 49, 52, 54, 57, and again 57, because 57 is repeated twice in this list. This is your question A answer done. Question B says to find the median. For this, we have to check the number of elements that are there. In this case, since there's 12, this means that there's an even number of elements. So for an even number, there are not one but two numbers that contribute to the median. That's equal to the number of elements divided by 2, that position number, and the n divided by 2 plus 1, that position number. So since n is 12 in this case, this means that the 6th and 7th position number both contribute to the median, since the average of these two numbers is what the median is. So in this case, since the 6th number is equal to, if we count from ascending order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 44, and the 7th number is 7, 48, this means that the average of these two numbers, so 44 plus 48 divided by 2, this is equal to 46. So 46 is your median. Note that if the number of elements was odd instead, you would just check the number of elements where n is an odd number, plus 1 divided by 2. This position number is directly the median. There's no further steps of adding or finding the average required. Now, question 4. Jonah has $750. He spends a fourth of this money on travel and some of this money on food. He now has $437.50. Work out the fraction of the $750 he spends on food. So this question is asking to give your answer in the form of a fraction. And the fraction is the amount he spends on food divided by $750. So to find out the amount he spent on food, we have to check how much he spent on travel. So the amount he spent on travel is 1/4 times this money, where this refers to $750. So 1/4 times 750 is the amount he spent on travel, and that's equal to $187.50. Now he's saying that after spending some money on travel, after spending this money on travel and this money on food, the amount that he has left is $437.50, which means that if we subtract 750 minus the money spent on travel minus the money spent on food, this is equal to $437.50. So if we move some variables around, the amount spent on food is equal to 750 minus travel minus $437.50. So this is equal to 750 minus $187.50 minus 437.50, and this is equal to 125. But this is not the final answer, because the question says to give the fraction of the $750 he spends on food. So this would be equal to food by 750, which is equal to 125 by 750, and this can be simplified to 1 by 6. Now, question 5 says the table shows part of a tram's timetable. All the trams take the same number of minutes to complete the journey from New Point to West Hill. Complete the table. So if you subtract the times when the train reaches West Hill by the times when the train leaves New Point, this difference is the amount that's spent in the journey itself. So 11:17 minus 10:30 is plus 47 minutes, and 14:17 minus 13:30 is plus 47 minutes. As we can see, the same number of minutes, which is corroborated by the fact that these two are the same number. So to complete the table, we have to see the time that the tram reaches West Hill if it leaves New Point at 12:18. So for this, we add 12:18 plus 47 minutes, which is 0 in the hour side, and 47 in the minute side. So in this case, 8 plus 7 is 5. Now 1 carries over. 4 plus 1 plus 1 is 6, 65. 2 plus 0 is 2, and 1 is 2, since it's brought down. However, the minute hand cannot have 65 because the largest possible minutes is 60, i.e. 0, 0. So in this case, we subtract 60 from this side and add 1 to this side. Since minus 60 and plus 1, minus 60 minutes is equal to plus 1 hours. So 65 minus 60 is 05, and 12 plus 1 is 13. So the final time is 13:05. So if I erase all these things for clarity's sakes, the time when the train reaches West Hill, not the tram reaches West Hill if it leaves New Point at 12:18 is 13:05. Now question 6 says, write 0.06428 correct to two significant figures. I'll erase the working from question 5 because we might need space for question 6. So for this question, you will need to know the significant figures rule beforehand, the multiple rules. So right now I'll just try to simplify some of them. There are two types of digits, 0 digits and non-zero digits. So 0 digits are basically 0, and non-zero digits are digits from 1 to 9. So in this case, 4 will be a non-zero digit, while 0 is a 0 digit because 0 is 0. So if the first digit is a 0, this means that all the zeros that are before any of the first non-zero digit, which is in this case 4, these zeros do not count for any significant figures. Therefore, they don't contribute to any significant figures. So which means that 4, which is a non-zero digit, is the first significant figure. 6 is the second, 2 is the third, and 8 is the fourth. So if the question is asking you to round this number, I 0.04628, correct to two significant figures, this means that you have to check the third significant figure to round this number. So if 0.04628, the third significant figure is 2, since the first is 4, the second is 6, and the third is 2. So if 2, since 2 is less than 5, where 5 is, since 5 is the criteria for seeing how it rounds, this means that we just erase all the numbers including 2, i.e. the third significant figure onwards. All figures after that are removed, so that the only remaining figures are the first two, i.e. two significant figures. If 2 was greater than 5, then we would have added 1 to the 6, which is the second significant figure, to make it 0.047. If the third significant figure, which is in this case 2, if it was bigger than 5, because that would mean that when rounded, the number would be closer to 0.047 than 0.046. But since in this case 2, the third significant figure, was less than 5, we just take 0.046. Now question 7 is shading the region A union B. Now this is pretty straightforward, since they're not asking for any like loopholes like A prime intersection B. They're just asking A union B, which means that they want you to shade the regions A, they shade the region B, and shade the regions where A meets B as well. So in this case, A union B. Question 8. Guy invests $5,000 in an account paying simple interest at a rate of R% per year. At the end of 8 years, the value of his investment is $5,700. Find the value of R. So if the simple interest is equal to the principal amount times R percent times the number of years, this would be equal to 5,000 times R by 100 times N, where N is the number of years, since R is per year. So in this case, this would be equal to 5,000 times R by 100 times 8, since N is equal to 8 years. This is equal to 400R. Now, the question is saying that at the end of the 8 years, the value of his total investment is $5,700, which means that the final value is equal to the principal plus the simple interest, which is equal to 5,000 plus 400R. And the question is saying that this is equal to $5,700. 400R would be equal to 5,700 minus 5,000 in this case, so 700. R would be equal to 700 divided by 400, which is equal to 1.75. Question 9. Describe for you the single transformation that maps triangle A onto triangle B. As you can see, triangle B is much larger than triangle A, which means that enlargement has taken place. So for the first mark in this 3-mark question, the first point that you have to say is that enlargement occurs. Now for any question that asks you to describe enlargement, there are 2 things you have to keep note of. One is where the center of enlargement is, and the second is the scale factor of enlargement. So to find the center, you just have to take 2 corresponding points in the 2 triangles. So in this case, we can take the top part of triangle A and the top part of triangle B, like the top left and the top left points of both the triangles. If we draw a straight line that passes through both of these points, I'll zoom in since that enables more preciseness in an iPad, which is historically bad at for drawing lines. Let's hope this works. Okay, yeah. So a line is drawn between these 2 points. We can take any another set of points. So in this case, the bottom right points of A and of B, and we can draw a line that passes through them too. So if we zoom in again, try to get a ruler precisely right before we erase these 2 points. We can then, I'll zoom out just in case. This is somewhat accurate, but not so, because as you can see, there's some difference between where 5 is and where the line passes the coordinate 1. But we can see roughly that the center is at 1 comma 1, 1 comma negative 1, sorry, 1 comma negative 1. Since these two lines, where they intersect is where the center of enlargement is. Since as you can see, this is where A is and this is where B is compared to the center. So if you want the second point in this 3-point question, enlargement at center 1 comma negative 1. For the third point, we need to write the scale factor. So the scale factor, for that we can just check the length of any two corresponding sides in this triangle. So in this case, if the length of the base of A is 2 units, since as you can see, A is 1, 2 units, and B is 1, 2, 3, 4 units, the scale factor K is equal to 4 divided by 2, which is equal to 2. So enlargement at center 1 comma negative 1 by a scale factor of 2. Now question B says on the grid, draw the image of triangle A after translation by the vector negative 4 and 3. So for the vector, there's two key points again to keep note of. One is that the upper number refers to the x unit shift and the bottom number refers to the right unit shift. The second is that if the x unit shift is negative, this means that the image is to the left of the actual triangle in this case. And if x is positive, this means that it's in the right. If y is negative, this means that it's below. And if y is positive, then it's above. So in this case, since x is negative, this means that we go to the left hand side by 4 units. And since y is positive, this means that we go upwards by 3 units. So for each of these 3 points, we have to draw the corresponding points after the point is shifted 4 units to the left and 2 units upwards. So if we take, for example, this topmost point, 1, 2, 3, 4 units to the left and 1, 2 units upwards. This is now where the new point would be. Now the bottom left point would be 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll use yellow instead, make it more clear. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2. This is where the bottom left point is. And for the bottom right point, 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left and 1, 2 units upwards. So if you make a triangle out of these 3 points, we get the image of triangle A. So I'll just share this. This is your image. Now let me just erase this since we need the space for the next question. Question 10 says, write 174,000 in standard form. So standard form essentially means that you're writing any number in the form of k times n to the power of n, where k can be any number that's between the range of 1 and 10, where k cannot be 10 but k can be 1. So in this case, we take all the non-zero digits, like the significant digits, which is 174, and we put a decimal place such that this value fits within this range. So in this case, the only place where we can put a decimal place is between 1 and 7. Since 1.74 is greater than 1 and it's less than 10, therefore it fits this range. So 174,000 in standard form is equal to 1.74 times 10 to the power of n. Now we don't know what n is, so that's the next step to find out. So if we write 174,000 and put the decimal place over here between 1 and 7, we now see how many places the decimal places shift to the right to get this new number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So since it shifts 5 times, this means that this 1.74 times 10 to the power 5 is equal to 174,000. So this is our final answer. 1.74 times 10 to the power of 5. 1 second. Question 11 says, a company surveys 40 of its employees, and in the survey, 3 employees say they walk to work. The company has a total of 1,240 employees. Find the expected number of employees in the company who walk to work. So, the first two lines show a representative study or survey done by the company, which says that if we make a fraction of the number of employees that walk to work by the total number of employees, this is approximately how much this would represent. If the total population of the company was this would be how many walk to work. So in this case, since we have the total number of employees, which is 1,240, and we have the representative fraction, which says if out of 40 people 3 walk to work, then how many people would walk to work, where x is people that walk to work out of 1,240. So if we do cross multiplication over here, 40x is equal to 1240 times 3. So x is equal to 1240 times 3 divided by 4. 40, which is equal to 93. And that's your question 11 answer. For question 12, the diagram shows a right angle triangle. Calculate the value of x. So since this is a right angle triangle, as you can see, we use SOHCAHTOA, i.e. trigonometry. So SOHCAHTOA. So let's just draw this triangle again. But instead of writing any numbers, we just write where O, H, and A would be. So since this is the angle we are checking, opposite would be the side that's completely opposite to the angle, i.e. the line that does not touch the angle at all. Adjacent would be the non-hypotenuse side that touches the angle, and H is the hypotenuse itself, i.e. the longest side in the triangle. So since we have the adjacent and the hypotenuse, this would mean that we have cos, since ka. So cos, I won't put capital, sorry. Cos x is equal to adjacent divided by hypotenuse, since CAH, ka. This is equal to 8.5 divided by 14. Let me erase this over here. Now since we have cos x is equal to 8.5 divided by 14, to find x, we do cos inverse of 8.5 divided by 14. And in the calculator, this works out to approximately 52.6 when rounded to one decimal place. 52.6. Now question 13 says, without using a calculator, work out a mixed fraction of 2 times 1 by 4 divided by 1 times 7 by 8. So in this case, if you convert both of these mixed fractions to improper fractions, the format would be Q R upon D, where Q is the quotient, R is the remainder, and D is the divisor. To convert this to an improper fraction where there's only one numerator and one denominator, and they're not multiplied by any number, this would be Q times D plus R divided by D. Now note that for any improper fraction, the numerator is bigger than the denominator. So in this case, for the first number, 2 times 1 by 4 would be equal to 2 times 4 plus 1 divided by 4, which is equal to 9 by 4. For the second number, 1 7 by 8 is equal to 1 times 8 plus 7 divided by 8, which is equal to 15 by 8. I'll put these in the side so I can erase the space over here for further working. Now with this done, 9 by 4 divided by 15 by 8. Now for any division by fraction, if we do A divided by B by C, this would mean this is equal to A times C by B, where C by B is the reciprocal of B by C. Since 1 divided by B by C is the reciprocal, which is equal to C by B in this case. So if you divide any number by a fraction, that's essentially multiplying that number by the reciprocal of the fraction. So since the reciprocal of 15 by 8 is 8 by 15, 9 divided by 4 divided by 15 by 8 is equal to 9 by 4 times 8 by 15. Why is this Y selected in question 11? Sorry, sorry, question 14. Not so sure, but I'll just like hide that for now. That's equal to 72 divided by 60. Now the question says for a simplest form mixed number. So let's first make it a simplest form before converting it back to a mixed number. So 72 divided by 60, if we divide both sides by the highest common factor, which in this case would be 12, this would produce the number 6 by 5. Now this is not the final step because the question did not ask for an answer in the improper fraction form. The question asked for an answer in the mixed number form. So if 6 by 5 is our final answer but not in the correct form, to convert it to the correct form, we have to do the inverse of what we did before. So mixed fraction is equal to the q, where q is the quotient, times r, where r is a remainder of division, by d. So since q is 1, since 6 divided by 5 would produce 1.2. So the q is 1 times r, since r is 1, since if you divide 6 by 5, this means that 5 times 1 is 5, so minus 5, 1. So your remainder, which if we put in green over here, your remainder is 1. Your quotient is blue, so in this case, quotient. And your d is the thing you're dividing it, the number by, so the denominator. So since q times r by d would be equal to 1 times 1 by 5. So the answer is 1 by 1 over 5. Now question 14. Okay, this is still selected. How do you unselect it? I guess you can't. Bad luck. Anyways, question 14 says, A is the point 0, 2 and B is the point 8, 6. Find the equation of the line AB. Give your answer in the form y is equal to mx plus c. So for this, we have to find two variables. The first is m. M is equal to the gradient of the line AB, which is equal to y2 minus y1 by x2 minus x1. So what is y2, y1 and x2, x1? We have to see the 2 points, A, B. Since A is 0, 2 and B is 8, 6. If we treat A as the first point and B as the second point, this means that 0 is x1, where it's the x coordinate of the first point, and 2 is y1, where 2 is the y coordinate of the first point, 8 is x2, 6 is y2. Now for that, if we find m, that's equal to 6 minus 2 divided by 8 minus 0. It's equal to 4 by 8, which is equal to 1 by 2. This is your m. So y is equal to half x plus c. So c is the y-intercept. So if you have a line in the form y is equal to mx plus c, c is equal to the y-intercept, i.e. the y value when x is 0. If we did not know, if a was not the y coordinate, to find c, we would have to do c is equal to y minus mx, which is equal to y minus, in this case, y minus half x. We can take the y and x coordinate of any 2 points and sub them into these y and x values to find the value of c. But in this case, since a is already 0, 2, this means that a lies on the y-axis, since x is 0. This means that the y coordinate of a is already c. So therefore y is equal to half x plus 2. Since c is 2, because c is the y-intercept, and the y-intercept is the value of the y value of the line when x is 0, and x is 0 when at the point a, so y is already given, and it's equal to half x plus 2. The half comes from the gradient, and the gradient is half because gradient is equal to y2 minus y1 by x2 minus x1, and we found that out separately. So half x plus 2. Now question 15 says 3 towns A, B and C are equidistant from each other. The bearing of C from A is 104 degrees. Calculate the bearing of B from C. So I'll just draw this triangle maybe slightly bigger if that's possible. If we take the yellow lines to mean north, and then we draw this triangle A, B, C. Now, a key fact is that these three towns are equidistant from each other, which means that they are all of equal distance from each other. Therefore, AC is equal to AB, which is equal to BC. Now, since they are equidistant, this means that the triangle ABC, the angles in each of the angle ACB is equal to angle ABC, which is equal to angle BAC. So these three angles are also the exact same because triangle ABC is an equilateral triangle. Since the definition of an equilateral triangle is a triangle where all three sides are the same, and in this case the triangle is equilateral because all three towns are equidistant from each other. And for any equilateral triangle, the interior angle, each interior angle is 60 degrees because there are three angles that are the same value, and all angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So if 3 times x, where x is the value of each interior angle, is equal to 180 degrees, x is equal to 180 degrees divided by 3, which is equal to 60 degrees. So if each of these angles is 60, 60, and 60, this can help us find the bearing of B from C. So any angle that's red is equal to 60 degrees. Now if I draw these three lines as well, that are all point towards north, an important fact is that all these three lines are parallel because they all point towards the same direction, but are not on top of each other because there's some shift between each of them. Therefore, this makes them parallel since they never meet. So with these couple of facts down, the last fact is that the bearing of C from A is 104 degrees. This is the last given fact in the question. So 104 degrees. Now we can use our own methods to find out the bearing of B from C using the parallel angles law. Since for the first one, to find, let me label A, B, and C. A, C, and B. If you have these two lines, this line and this line, and we have a line passing through them, in this case, the line AC, this angle over here, so I won't use red since red will represent 60 degrees. This angle here, 104 degrees, is equal to this angle here, also 104 degrees. Since if any two parallel lines, a line passes through them, opposite angles are always equal. So in this case, this angle over here is 104 degrees. Now, since this red angle is 60 degrees, this means that this black angle over here is equal to 104 minus 60, because if this green angle is equal to this angle plus this angle, and we know what this angle is, and we know what the big total angle is, we can find this smaller angle as 104 minus 60 degrees. So in this case, this small angle is equal to 104 minus 60, which is equal to 44 degrees. So since the bearing of B from C would be equal to, essentially, let me just erase some stuff for clarity's sake. Since B from C is equal to this angle over here, and this is a straight line because the north is a straight line, the bearing of B from C would be 180 plus angle NCB. Since as you can see over here, if we drew a line and made N over here, the bearing would be this angle. And so this angle is 44, as we found out before, and this angle is 180 degrees, since it's a straight line. So 180 plus 44 is the bearing of B from C, which is 224 degrees. Now question 16 says, the speed time graph shows information about a car journey. For any speed time graph, there are two key facts. The gradient of a line the gradient at any point would be equal to the acceleration at that point, and the area under the graph between two times is equal to the distance traveled in those two times. So question A says, find the deceleration of the car between 240 and 320 seconds. So between this and this. So the question is asking for, since this gradient is equal to A and deceleration is equal to negative acceleration, let's first find the acceleration. The m is equal to m, which is equal to y2 minus y1 by x2 minus x1. So if we take these 2 points, 320 comma 0 and 240 comma 16 is these, we can then find the gradient. Since if we take 240 comma 16 as 0.1 and 320 comma 0 as 0.2, y2 minus y1 is 0 minus 16 by 320 minus 240, which is equal to negative 0.2. This is your acceleration, but it's not a final answer, because the question did not ask for the acceleration of the car between 240 and 320 seconds. The question asked for the deceleration of the car. And since d is negative a, this means that d is equal to, sorry, 1 second, I'll make a d clearer. D is equal to negative 0.2, since a is equal to negative 0.2. So D would be equal to positive 0.2, because as shown in question 1 with the two temperatures, two negatives make a positive. So the first answer is 0.2 meters per second squared. Question B says to calculate the total distance the car travels during the 320 seconds. So the question is saying for its entire journey, what is the distance traveled? So from 0 to 320 seconds. As I said before, the area under speed time graph is equal to the distance traveled. So in this case, as you can see, if we find the area under the graph, that would be equal to the area of this shape over here that's produced. As you can see, this shape is a trapezium since there's two parallel sides. And the area of a trapezium is equal to half times height times a plus b, where a plus and b are the two parallel sides. So if we treat this side as side A and treat this side as side B, and the height is 16, this means that the area, can I zoom out by chance? Okay, I guess I can't zoom out. So the area would be equal to half times height, which is 16, times a plus b, where a is equal to, since the right end of a is 240 and the left end is 30, 240 minus 30 is the length of a, which is equal to 210. So times a plus b. Now b is just 320 because b is this entire length. So 320 minus 0. So since the right end is 320 and the left end is 0. Now this answer is equal to 4,240. This is your final answer. Question 17 says, W is a set where students who walk to school and G is a set where students who wear glasses. There are 20 students in a class. 8 walk to school, 3 wear glasses and walk to school, 2 do not wear glasses and do not walk to school. So sentences 2 and 3 are conclusive. 3 wear glasses and walk to school, therefore they are in the middle. Because they wear glasses, therefore they are in the G set, and they walk to school, therefore they are in the W set. Now that's the first part done. And 2 do not wear glasses and do not walk to school. They are outside both sets, since people who wear glasses, 2 is not in the set W and they're not in the set G because they don't wear glasses and they don't walk to school. Now the next statement is that 8 walk to school, which means that if X are the people that walk to school but do not wear glasses, X plus 3 is equal to 8. So X is equal to 8 minus 3, which is equal to 5. Therefore, this is 5, since if this total set W is equal to 8, since 8 walk to school. And 3 out of those 8 people, 3 also wear glasses, and 5 do not wear glasses. Therefore, we get this point from both the first statement and the second statement, and we get 3 from the second statement alone. Now, the final statement that will help us get the answer of the number of people who wear glasses but who do not walk to school, if we make this y for now, is equal to 20 minus 5 minus 3 minus 2. Since there are four types of students. There are students that only walk to school, students that only wear glasses, the students that both walk to school and wear glasses, and the students that neither walk to school nor wear glasses. So to find the students that only wear glasses, we subtract 20, which is the total, by the other three possible types of students. So this is equal to 20 minus. Oh wait, the question's only asking to complete the Venn diagram. So it's 20 minus 10, which is equal to 10. Therefore, y is equal to 10. And that's your final answer. Since we completed the Venn diagram, I'll rewrite these as blue, since blue is usually how I write the final answers. So 5, 3, 10, and 2. As you can see, 8 walk to school, 3 wear glasses and walk to school, since 3 is in the intersection of these two, and 2 do not walk to school and do not wear glasses. Question 18. The graph of y is equal to fx is drawn on the grid. Question A says to draw the tangent to the graph at the point x is equal to 3. So this will be very hard to do since I'm on an iPad. So I'll try to make the brush line as small as possible. X is equal to 3 at this point, at this line over here. So this is where the x equal to 3 line meets the graph. So this point is where the point of the graph x is equal to 3. A tangent line is any line that essentially meets the graph at that one point, except when the graph curves downwards. But in this particular graph, which is a one-to-one graph where there can only be one x value for each y value, this means that the graph only touches Question 18. The graph of y is equal to fx is drawn on the grid. Question A. Draw the tangent to the graph at the point x is equal to 3. So for any graph, the tangent is any line that only meets the graph at that one point. So in this case, if we find the graph at the point x is equal to 3, the point would be around here. And if we draw a tangent line, that would be approximately there. So this is our tangent line approximately. You should draw the line to the end of the graph, but I couldn't as I was zoomed in, so maybe I'll try now. Yeah, it's a safe measure to always draw the tangent line to the ends of the graph. There we go. Sorry. Yeah. So that's question A done. Question B says to use your tangent to find an estimate for the gradient of the curve at the point x is equal to 3. So the gradient is essentially the m value, which we can take to be the m value of this straight line. So since this tangent line follows y is equal to mx plus c, this m value would be equal to the gradient of the graph at the point x equal to 3 approximately. So to find the value of m, as I said before, that's equal to y2 minus y1. I think I'll make it sharper since, yeah, m is equal to y2 minus y1 by x2 minus x1. So let's find our 2 points in this tangent line. We can take 1 to be this point itself, 3 comma, if we extend a line, this is approximately 5.2. So that's our point 1. And our second point can be 2 comma 0. So based on that, y2 minus y1 is equal to 0 minus 5.2 divided by 2 minus 3. which is equal to 5.2. Now note that for the exam, you don't need to have an exact answer that's equal to 5.2. Since the mark scheme says any value that falls within the range of 4.8 to 5.8 is acceptable. Since this accounts for the fact that different students draw tangent lines in different ways, and they might have different approximations for where the tangent line meets the graph. Therefore, if you have any grading that's within this range, you're fine. Question 19a says, y is directly proportional to x minus 1 squared when x is equal to 4, y is equal to 3. Find y when x is equal to 7. So y is directly proportional to x minus 1 squared. Therefore, y is equal to x minus 1 squared times k, where k is a constant value. So k is equal to y divided by x minus 1 squared. So if we take these 2 points and sub them into this y is equal to y divided by x minus 1 squared, we can find k. So k is 3 divided by 4 minus 1 squared, which is equal to 1 by 3. So now if I just erase these, so y is equal to x minus 1 squared times k, and since k is equal to 1 by 3, y is equal to 1 by 3 times x minus 1 squared. So if you have x equal to 7, this would be equal to 1 by 3. Since when x is 7, 1 by 3 by 7 minus 1 square, which is equal to 1 by 3 times 36, which is equal to 12. That's your final answer. Question B says, m is inversely proportional to the square root of p. So we can rewrite this as m is inversely proportional to the square root of p. So what happens to the value of m when the value of p is multiplied by 9? So when p is multiplied by 9, this would mean that 1 by 9 times p is equal to 1 by 9p, which is equal to 1 by 3 root p, which we can rewrite this as 1 over 3 times 1 over root p. Now since 1 over root p is proportional to m, this means that m would essentially be multiplied by 1 over 3 when the value of p is multiplied by 9. So since m times 1 by 3 is equal to m divided by 3, this means that m gets divided by 3. Question 20 says two parcels are mathematically similar. This means that there's a constant scale factor. The larger parcel has a volume. This is hard to read because the text is selected for some reason. Okay, it has a volume of 80 centimeters and a height of 5.2 cm, and the smaller parcel has a volume of 33.75. Calculate the height of the smaller parcel. So k is involved in lengths, right, in 1 dimensions. K square is involved in area, like k1 is equal to lengths, and k cube is constant in volume calculations, which means that the smaller parcel volume 33.75 times k cube is equal to 80. So if you think about it, right, the volume would be equal to a length 1 times a length 2 times a length 3. And since each length multiplied by k would be equal to the new length, so like the length of the larger parcel. So let's say L4 times L5 times L6. Now since this will be the volume of the larger parcel, this would be equal to the volume of the smaller parcel times k times k times k, which is equal to volume of the smaller parcel times k cubed. So in this case, 33.75 times k cube is equal to 80. 1 second. So k cube is equal to 80 divided by 33.75, which is equal to 64 by 27. K is equal to the cube root of 64 by 27, which is equal to 4 by 3. Now that's your value of k. And since for lengths, like in this case height is proportional by k, not k square, not k cube. Therefore, the height of the smaller parcel, h of the smaller parcel times k, is equal to the height of the larger parcel. So the height of the smaller parcel we write as x times k, which is 4 by 3, is equal to the height of the larger parcel, which is 5.2. Therefore, x is equal to 5.2 divided by 4.3. This is equal to 5.2 times 3 divided by 4, which is equal to 3.9. Now question 21 says to solve the simultaneous equations and you must show all your working. So 4y plus 3x is equal to 13 and y is equal to x square minus 18. So if we like take the first equation, if 4y plus 3x is equal to 13, 4y is equal to 13 minus 3x and y is equal to 13 minus 3x divided by 4. This is like trying to find the value of y, because for the second equation, y is equal to x square minus 18. So which means that if y is equal to 13 minus 3x divided by 4 minus, which is equal to x square minus 18, this means that since the y value will be the same for both of these two terms, this means we are finding the x values that when the same would also produce the same y value. So if we erase y in this case and try to find the x values, 13 minus 3x is equal to 4x square minus 18 times 4, which is equal to 72. So if you move these terms to this side, 0 is equal to 4x square plus 3x minus 72 minus 13, which is equal to 85. Now, if after this, we can use the quadratic formula to find the two roots that would produce this, that would help us get the value of x when 4x square plus 3x minus 85 is 0. So x is equal to negative b plus minus the root of b square minus 4ac divided by 2a, which is equal to negative 3 plus minus b square minus 4ac, which is equal to 3 square minus 4 times 4 times negative 85, which is equal to 1369 divided by 2 times 4, which is equal to negative 3 plus minus 37 divided by 8. So two roots would be equal to 4.25 and negative 5. Now that we have the x coordinates, the x values, sorry, we have to find the y values. So since we already have y is equal to 30 minus 3x divided by 4, we can use this and sub in the two values of x to get the two values of y. So when x is equal to 4.25, y is equal to 13 minus 3, 4.25 divided by 4. Let me erase these. It's over here. And this gets us a value of 1 by 16. Now when x is negative 5, y is equal to 13 minus 3 times negative 5 divided by 4, which is equal to 28 divided by 4, which is equal to 7. Erase this over here, which is equal to 7. Therefore, our two values are when x is negative 5, y is equal to 7, and when x is equal to 4.25, y is equal to 1 by 16, which is equal to 0.0625. I'm writing in decimal form because it's hard to write fractions in iPad. So for 22a, for each sketch, put a ring around the correct type of function shown. Now since over here it turns not once but twice, this means that this is a cubic function. It's not linear because linear is a straight line. It's not quadratic because quadratic has one turn. It's not reciprocal because reciprocal is like this. And it's not exponential because exponential only goes upwards or only goes downwards. This goes up, then goes down, then goes back up. Therefore, it's a cubic. Now for II, it is a reciprocal function because, like I said, linear straight, that's wrong. Cubic, it curves twice. Or it could also curve once, but it will curve so like this or like this in this way. So not the same as a quadratic. Quadratic curves once, but like this or like this, and an exponential goes either upwards only or downwards only. So since there are two lines that each have the same asymptote of x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 0, this is a reciprocal function. Now BI says on the grid, sketch the curve y is equal to sin x for 0 is less than equal to x less than equal to 360. So the two things to make sure of, right? One is that the maximum amplitude is equal to +1, which means that the graph does not exceed +1 and it does not go below -1 either. So the graph should stay within this range. The second is that the graph starts at 0, 0. It reaches 1 at 90 degrees. It comes back to 0 at 180 degrees, goes back down to -1 at 270 degrees, and comes back up at 360 degrees. Now solve the equation sin x is equal to 0.4 is equal to 0. So if sin x plus 4, 0.4 is equal to 0, sin x is equal to -0.4. Now, based on the ASTC rules, where ASTC, -1, 180 minus that -1, 180 plus that -1, 360, dash -1. Since sin x is negative, this means that we don't take the rules where there's s and when there's a, where a represents all, i.e. sine, cos and tan. Instead, take the two rules where there's no sign written essentially. So this rule and this rule. So x would be equal to 180 degrees plus sine inverse of +0.4, non-negative. So this number should include just the positive value, and 360 minus sine inverse of 0.4. Now when rounded to 1 dp, the two values are 203.6 and 336.4. For the IGCSE Extended Math 058011, you don't need to understand why this is, like about the unit circle and all that. So just memorize these rules. So if sine is positive, you go to all and sine. If sine is negative, you go to tan and cos. If cos is positive, you take all and cos. If cos is negative, you take sine and tan, like these rules. And if tan is positive, you take the rules of a and t. If tan is negative, you take the rules of sine and cos. So I'll just put these here for now because I'm too lazy to rewrite them again. 23 says the Venn diagram shows information about the number of students in the class. Some study English, some study French, some study Spanish, and some do not study any of these languages. Find the number of E union F prime union S. So if we break them down, E union prime inverse means any numbers that are not in E and not in F, and also not in E in F. Because if I like sketch E union F, that's equal to this. So E union F prime means these numbers that are not in E, not in F, and not in E union F. So 4 and 5 so far. Now it says union S, which means that they could also be in S. Since if we shade the region of E, of whatever's not in E and F, wait, I'll use a different color. If we shade the region of E union F inverse, so E union F prime, this is E union F prime. Union S means you can also shade the region of S, which means that you can count these three numbers as well. So 2, 1 and 3, which are not in E union F prime, since they are in E or F or both E and F, but they are in S, so therefore you can add them in the final calculation since they are in S, and you can union, and you're checking the number of elements that could be in S or they could be not in E or F at all. So 4 plus 2 plus 1 plus 3 plus 5, which is equal to 6 plus 1 plus 8, which is equal to 15. Now, one student is picked at random from those who study Spanish. So the Spanish speakers is 4 plus 2 plus 1 plus 3. 4 plus 2 plus 1 plus 3, which is equal to 6 plus 1 plus 3, which is equal to 7 plus 3, which is equal to 10. And that's a total Spanish speakers, which we'll use later in the question. Find the probability that the student studies exactly 2 languages. So, the student could study either, well, let me erase this. If the student studies both Spanish and English, there are 2 students that study both. That's equal to 2 by 10. Or they could study Spanish and French, which is equal to 3 by 10. This is equal to 5 by 10, which is equal to 1 over 2. You don't count the people that study both Spanish and English and French, since the question asks for students that study exactly 2 languages. So 1 is not counted, and 4 are not counted because 4 students only study Spanish. So since 5 students studies since 5 students study 2 languages, these 5 students, these 2 study Spanish and English, and these 3 study Spanish and French. Since it's 5 out of 10 that study 2 languages exactly, this means that the probability of selecting one of them is 1 by 2. Question 24 says, O is the origin and OPQR is a parallelogram. M is the midpoint of PQ and N divides QR in the ratio 2:1. OP is equal to A and OR is equal to B. Question A says to find MN. So MN is equal to MQ plus QN. Now as you can see, PQ and OR are parallel, right? OR and PQ are parallel since they're parallelograms. They're 2 sides, opposite sides of a parallelogram. So OR is equal to PQ, which is equal to B. And OP is parallel to RQ. Therefore, OP is equal to RQ, which is equal to A. Since RQ is equal to A, QR is equal to negative A. Now that's one fact that we know. And since N divides QR in the ratio 2:1, this means that QN is equal to 2/3 of QR, which is equal to negative A. Therefore, Qn is equal to negative 2 by 3A. So if you rewrite Qn as negative 2 by 3A, and since OR and PQ are, like I said before, are parallel, PQ is equal to B. And since M divides PQ in half, this means that MQ is equal to half of B. Since this would be half. And this would also be a half. So we can rewrite MQ as half B. One second, sorry. Yeah, half B. Therefore, M is equal to half B minus 2 by 3 A. Now, the last question is that the lines MN and OR, I'll erase these for now. The lines MN and OR are extended to meet at S, as you can see. OR is over here and they extend at S. MN is over here and it extends to S as well. So find the position vector of S. So position vector means S relative to O. So position vector of S essentially means OS. This O is like the origin. It's where all things are positioned based on O. So give your answer in terms of A and or B and in its simplest form. So as you can see, OS is equal to something B, right? Because OR is equal to B and RS is parallel and parallel and along BR. Therefore, OS is equal to something B. So you can say, let's say for now, 1 plus KB. Oh wait. How do we write this? We could write it as 1 plus KB for now. That's the first way of finding OS. The second way is equal to OP plus PM, OP plus PM plus MS, which we can take to mean if I rewrite OS as maybe B as OR plus RS, which is equal to B plus KB, to make it simpler for future reference. So OS in the second way would be equal to OP plus PM plus MN plus NS. MN plus NS. Since OP is equal to A, PM is equal to half B, as I said before. MQ is equal to half B, therefore PM is also equal to half B, since PM is equal to MQ. So half B. MN, as shown in this part, question part A, is equal to plus half B minus 2 by 3A. Now NS is equal to something times MN, because as you can see, NS is both parallel to and along MN. Therefore, it's the continuation of the MN vector. As it can be seen as this M, S, and N. It's the same vector just by a different scale factor. So it could be shorter, could be longer than M. NS is essentially a scale factor, like it's the same vector as MN, but multiplied by a certain scale factor that we do not know yet. So let's say for now, the scale factor is L. So L by Mn, where Mn is half B minus 2/3 A. Now if we simplify this gigantic equation, this is equal to B plus KB is equal to A plus B total, since half B plus half B is equal to B, minus 2 by 3A. So we can combine A and 2 by 3A to produce a new thing, where 1 by 3A plus B plus L, where half B minus 2 by 3A. So since this side has no A component, this means that 1 by 3A plus L times negative 2 by 3A would be equal to 0. Since if we think about it, right, this line, like this vector and this vector plus this vector plus, I'll use a different color. Sorry. This line plus this line plus this line plus this line. Wait, what? Yeah, there we go. This line both have the same vector, just they reach the same point through different ways, which means that if OS can be seen as OR plus RS, where RS is also something B, so B plus something B, this means that even if we add OP to PM to M and NS, it should still end up being B plus something B. And since there's no A component, this means that all the A's that are accumulated through OP plus something MN plus something NS, all these different A components would cancel out. Therefore, since 1/3 A, I'll add it over here for now, 1/3 A minus 2 by 3 LA is equal to 0. This means that 1 by 3A is equal to 2 by 3 LA. And so, if we divide 1 by 3 by 2 by 3 to get L, let's first cancel A from both sides. 2 by 3, L is equal to 1 by 3. Therefore, L is equal to 1 by 3 divided by 2 by 3. So which is equal to 1 by 2. Now that we have L, which is equal to 1 by 2, we can sub 1 by 2 into this to get the final answer of what is OS, since this big equation is also defined as OS just from this root, OP plus PM plus MN plus NS. So this version of getting OS is equal to this gigantic equation. So if we multiply half with half b, that's equal to 1 by 4b. And if we multiply 1 by 2 with negative 2 by 3a, that's equal to negative 2 by 6a. So if I just erase this bracket and bring these two terms down, this means that OS is equal to 1 by 3a plus b minus 1 by 4b negative 1 by 3a. Since negative 2 by 6 can be cancelled to be 1 by 3a. So the final answer would be, since a cancels out from both sides, 1 by 3a is equal to negative 1 by 3a. OS is equal to, wait, I think I accidentally put negative, it should be positive over here. OS is equal to positive 5 by 4b. That's your final answer. As you can see, b is positive here and b is positive here too. So since L was half, this means that b would be L times half b would be equal to half times half b, which would be equal to 1 by 4b, which is equal to 1 by 4b here. I think I miswrote negative 1 by 4b before. I'm sorry about that. But as you can see, the final answer is equal to 5 by 4b. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you can subscribe.